Yeah, did you tell him what you told me about Gina's cooking?
What?
I said it's so bad, the homeless give it back. The stew, baby. I love the stew. It looked like Alpo, but I loved it.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to the Fifth Flow Review, where we're going to go and actually take a look back at Martin episodes. Today, we're going to go ahead and actually look back at Season 1, Episode 14, I've Got a Secret. And in this one, we're going to answer some particular trivia questions on here. What reoccurring Martin character appears for the first time in this episode? What does Tommy wear when he goes grocery shopping? And did Martin admit to being attracted to Pam? Oh, snap. If you want to know the answer to these particular quiz questions and other things, this is the episode you want to go and actually tune into. Now, I've Got a Secret premiered December 3rd, 1992. The last episode premiered November 19th, 1992. So we had a 2-week absence of Martin, and I'm telling you, we were starving for Martin back in the day, what have you. So it was good to go and actually have this back to make sure that we were getting another episode, and we did. Now, the runtime on this particular episode was 23 minutes. It is the 14th one that actually premiered. It was actually filmed 16th in the series. It premiered to a ratings of 21.6 million. High ratings, loved it, great. Now, this is directed by Tony Singletary, written by Diane Burrows and Joey Gutierrez. The synopsis is real basic. Here's the synopsis for this. Martin loses his friends when he lets out a secret on the air. Now, you might have actually seen this episode. You already know what it's about. But for those of you that don't, I keep it real synced on there so that you can go ahead and actually enjoy it along the way. Because the hope is after you go and actually listen to this review, you go back and watch that episode, and you get something a little bit more out of it. So before we go and actually dive into the episode, let's get a feel of the cast that's going to be in here. So again, the cast that we have here is the usual reoccurring folks in there. We got Martin, Tommy, Cole, and Gina. Pam coming on back again. She has different episodes where she's not in as many as she was like in the later seasons or whatever, but she is in this episode along with Stan and Sean. So all my folks are back, as well as you got Martin playing his role as Roscoe, the little snot-nosed kid, and you got him playing Shanae in this one. And of course, being Shanae in this one is going to be really pivotal. We do have some reoccurring people that have already been on Martin episodes. Tracy Coley as the blues singer in the later episode with when they're driving in the car. You're going to hear some blues going on in there. It's his vocal appearance. Myra J as the female caller, calling into Martin's radio program. And Benny R. Richburg Jr. as the male caller in that one. So that's the cast for this. But got to go ahead and actually tell you the first reoccurring character that makes their screen debut, and that is BB Drake Massey as Myra. Now, she's an actress that spans back to the 1970s. On both big and small screens, BB has taken on plenty of roles. The roles that I feel like she's most known for, when I look at her IMDb, Velma Gaines in A Different World, Myra in Martin, because a lot of people know her from that, and of course Mrs. Jackson in Boomerang, playing opposite John Witherspoon. Now, you don't know that. Bang, bang. Come on now, don't act like you don't know that one. And I'm sorry, if you got the complexion, you know what I'm saying. Like, that is a hell of a scene on there. It's memorable in a movie that we absolutely love. But John Witherspoon, the coordinated belt and his wife being next to him, absolutely was phenomenal. So those are the roles that B was definitely known for. Now, her most recent work, she's been a voice actor in the Proud Family reboot, so she's still active to this day. And her being Myra, you will see her in various many episodes going forward, and she just had a nice long career. So that is the cast. We got the synopsis, we got premiere, we got all the setup for this particular episode. So you know what we got to do. We got to go ahead and actually get into this particular episode. Let's do it. Oh, of course, we got the first scene opening up without the monologue. We actually have it at Gina's apartment where Roscoe is back. our favorite little snot-nosed little boy trying to hustle up Gina. This time he is selling peanut brittle and trying to charge some ridiculous amount or whatever. But Gina is actually being nice at this point in time, and she decides that she's going to give him the money. She's going to go and actually buy some peanut brittle, and that's crazy. And the reason why I say it's crazy is because she knows that he's hustling her and all that kind of stuff, right? But she goes in and actually buys it, and he decides that she gave him, he gives her a little bit of change, whatnot back, and she says, "You gave me too much money." And he did. Like, this is the first time you see him like, oh, you did or whatever. You kind of feel sorry for him. Then she says, go to school, learn some stuff, and then you can go and actually be like that. And he actually takes the advice, like, yeah, maybe I should go to school. Then he goes ahead and actually gets into his Venmo and gives it to Gina and says, like, here, you sell it for me. You better have my money. And of course, going actually flipping the whole dynamic of making him the snotty little punk that he is on there. And of course, if you don't know, because he goes and actually says, "Which better have my money? Which better have my money?" That is actually a nod out to the AMG track from the early '90s, and that was let's just say it's a different kind of itch. Better have my money, right? But that's Roscoe, him being his craziness and whatnot, and still the fact that he is over Gina's apartment going actually doing that is crazy. But that was the first scene. Flash forward, and now our next scene is at Martin's apartment, where Gina and Martin are washing dishes, being a normal couple, doing all that kind of good stuff, right? And they're sitting up there as they're having a discussion. We're talking about how men and women kind of manipulate, each other as far as like, circumstances, looks, dress, all that kind of good stuff, right?
The one I am now.
I get the feeling I'm being played.
Hey, you stop that, all right? I don't play you no more than you play me.
What? I do not play you.
Yes, you do. All right? Does this sound familiar? Martin, would you pump the gas? I don't know where the nozzle goes. Where is the gas tank? Is it in the tire?
Well, is it?
Come on, Gina.
And I think we all know women go ahead and actually play the game a little bit better than men, because they kind of have to. Men are, stereotypically stronger and faster, and definitely have the privilege in the workplace, what have you. So women got to go ahead and actually use what they have in order to get where they got to get to, right? So, but they have this conversation, and it opens up the door for Gina to reveal that Pam wears a certain dress when she wants something, like she wants a day off or she wants a raise or something like that. And that is, hey, I can't stall women out for going and actually doing that. But one interesting thing to go ahead and actually take a note from that first scene is it's probably the only time in the series where Martin admits to being attracted to Pam. Check it out.
Whenever Pam wants something at work, she wears this tight black and red dress, and she always gets a day off or a raise or something.
You know what? I know that dress. Last time she wore it, I got a raise.
I mean, why say that if there's no attraction? And even Gina goes and actually has a little barb on there. I think that's something that a lot of people go and actually miss. And I think it's a good thing to go ahead and actually put out there for Martin fans. Of course, now at the radio station, we now have Martin in the jokes of he has Stan being his usual cheap self about the dryer and having Sean or whatever. We continue to have that dialogue with these two, right? Of just, again, every time that they're on the screen together, they just have some ridiculousness together, what have you. But Stan being cheap about the drying, being cheap about the hand dryer and all that kind of good stuff.
Hey, Sean, no more using paper towels in the men's room. It's a waste of money. Use the air dryer.
Well, Stan, we don't have an air dryer in the men's room.
What do you call this?
And Martin gets to work, taking his calls with the various different callers or what have you. And we have the male caller, and we have female caller, and these particular ones on there, and it triggers. He allows a caller to trigger him into or bait it into a conversation. And now here we go, getting where what's coming, and he reveals the secret about Pam, and it's all over the radio. And we've already established earlier in the season that stuff that happens on Martin's radio station gets all over Detroit really quick or whatever. So the fact that you go and actually tell something like that, that's like a little bit of a secret. and put that on the radio station just to go ahead and actually get back at somebody. That's Martin not just being impulsive, right? And biting back, and that's what he went and actually did. And it's funny because at the end of that, the caller at the end on there, he goes and actually is vindictive and all that kind of stuff. So
Well, you men won't listen to us unless we dress like that.
Look, are you dressed like that now?
No.
Gotta go.
it's a typical Martin, but we saw it coming from a million miles away, and yet he couldn't help himself. And that's where we end radio station. And we know this is going to cause issues. It's like it's promised to. So before we go ahead and get to that next scene, let's go ahead and actually take a look at some of the global headlines that happened from the last episode, episode 13, to this episode of 14. Let's see what's going on in the world. And now for global news that occurred from November 20th, 1992 till December 3rd, 1992. On November 24th, the United States officially shuts down Subic Bay Naval Base, marking the formal end nearly a century of American military presence in the Philippines. While on November 25th, the Federal Assembly of Czechoslovakia votes to dissolve the country into two independent nations, the Czech Republic and Slovakia. This would go into effect January 1st, 1993, finalizing a peaceful separation. On December 3rd, the United Nations Security Council unanimously passes Resolution 794, authorizing a U.S.-led coalition, codenamed Operation Restore Hope, to enter Somalia and secure and guard the delivery of humanitarian food and aid amidst a devastating famine and civil war. Also on the 3rd, a 22-year-old engineer, Bill Papworth, sends the world's very first short message service, SMS text, from a computer to a mobile phone on a Vodafone network in the UK. The historic text simply reads, "Merry Christmas." And in our final news for global coverage, also on December 3rd, the United Nations formally observes the first annual day to promote the rights, well-being, and integration of disabled persons worldwide, marking yet another historic observation for the global community. So that's all we have for global news. And now back to Martin. Now let's flash forward, obviously, a few hours to Martin's apartment, and the fellas are watching a game. And of course, the fellas don't have any beef with each other right now because he just revealed a secret about Pam, whatever. And the cast actually don't, obviously, it's not that big of a deal to them because they're like, this is a way a woman going actually working in the world. But Gina and Pam come on in because you went ahead and actually revealed something you had no business going and actually revealing. And Pam is heated about it. She's mad that Gina would even say something to Martin, and Martin would go and actually bust it out to everybody. And just pure hilarity ensues with the secrets that are coming out. And everybody got something on everybody. This is real friendship, in the fact that people, have and telling each other different things or what have you, and trying to keep it a secret. You know stuff about the other one, and you just never say stuff out loud, right? But if somebody violates the code, we going New Jack City, everybody going down. Everybody got to get this, right? And so everybody has something that was like critical that nobody else wanted to know, and that was so crazy. And I love the fact Martin when he first got confronted with, he's like, "No, never said that, no," right?
Martin, how could you go on the air and tell everyone that Pam wears that dress to get a raise?
No, never said that.
Yes, you did.
No.
Yes, you.
No, never.
Yes, you did.
No.
Martin, I heard you on the air.
The whole office heard it, Martin.
Oh, now I remember.
His non-guilt aspect of things coming out, but he, Martin, through all this of everybody just telling all the various different little secrets and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So I guess it was no secret that when the first time you two made love, it was over for you before it even began. Now?
Okay, bet. Well, it's on now. It's on, okay? Okay, well, did you tell Pam about the video you made for me on my birthday?
I'm so glad I never told you a secret.
Oh, really, Cole? Then how come you told me that Tommy owns a toupee that he only wears when he goes grocery shopping? And Martin was the one that said Cole was a virgin until he was 23.
Hey,
And Martin, and he's at the center of this because a lot of the stuff he wouldn't actually knew that other people didn't know, and all this kind of stuff. And after all this, Martin is still defiant, and everybody's like, can't be friends with y'all. Y'all just up here telling each other secrets and being all this, and that, stuff like that, being snitches and gossips and all this kind of stuff. Can't be friends with none of y'all, whatever. So they get ready to leave, and then Martin, of course, you can't just leave the house. I would go ahead and actually throw y'all out, right? And so, yeah, you can go ahead and actually do what you can throw them out if you want to, but you were still wrong, my guy. I mean, can't go ahead and actually like that. And the only person that's going to stick with him is his girl, even though she's mad at him, but that's his woman and whatnot. So opens up a dynamic for now the friend dynamic is supposed to change because now you're friends that you've been with for ride or die for a long time. Now they don't want you, and it's going to cause turmoil. So that's where they end up. And before we get to the next scene, I'm just going to go and actually roll down some domestic headlines that were happening during that time, so you guys can kind of know what was going on in the U.S. during that time. So let's get into that domestic news. Now for your domestic news. On November 21st through the 23rd, one of the largest and most devastating late autumn tornado outbreaks in U.S. history tears through the South and Ohio Valley over a 41-hour period. Spawning 95 confirmed tornadoes across 13 states, the disaster claims 26 lives, 15 in Mississippi alone, injures over 600 people, and causes more than $300 million in damage. In other news, on November 30th, tragedy strikes the U.S. Air Force when two C-141 Starlifter cargo planes from McCord Air Base collide midair during a nighttime training mission over north central Montana. The crash kills all 13 airmen aboard, with local civilian volunteers from the remote town of Harlan, Montana, braving freezing temperatures, secure the grim crash site. So that's all we have for domestic news. Now back to Martin. So next day we are at in Martin's apartment, right? And it is the next day. We kind of get that defined on there, and it's Martin. He's actually, you can see that he's ready to go out and things like that. But he's actually trying to call Tommy to tell him like, hey, I didn't mean all that stuff. Call me back, whatever. He's probably called Cole and things like that as well, and they're not picking up. They don't have nothing to do with him because they feel like he's a snitch. Telling all different stuff or whatever, right? So as a man, he can't go ahead and actually admit, that he's wrong or whatever. But him and Gina are going to go and actually going out, and he won't really do the apology. He's more of like saying like, look, I didn't mean it. Don't worry about it. We still boys and all that kind of stuff. But it's not going to happen. So immediately, like the fact that they're going to go and actually move on, and then it's going to be with Stan and his girl is absolutely like, why is Stan your choice? Like, Gina works with some professional people, right? Martin's got to know some other people, things like that. Like, there's no way that Stan is going to be your first, second, or 10th pick, because he's cheap. He cuts corners. His sense of fashion. He's older than Martin by a good 20-something years or whatever. Like, there's just no reason for him to do that. But that's what they're going to go and actually do. And when Stan comes in with his woman, and we now know that her name is Myra, and Stan, look at the way that he looks. He's not anything different than what he normally looks. And Myra got like this rat fur coat thing that she's got on or whatever. So she is right up Stan's alley, and it's the way that it's supposed to be, right? It's Stan in the way that he carries himself. So as they in there and they introduce each other and get ready to go out for a night out of town, we flash to outside in Martin's hallway, and Sean is dressed as a chauffeur. And as he's coming to go ahead and actually knock on the door to drive them all around, he meets Shanae comes out across the way. And he mispronounces her name. Shanoa, I believe is how he pronounced it. It's hilarious. And she's go ahead and actually say, because Martin had mentioned Shanae to Sean at some point during a working relationship, which again, a little bit nod towards the reveal that we get at the end of the episode or whatever. But, Martin has talked about Shanae at some point in time or what have you. And Shanae even hints, says like, oh, Martin want to go ahead and actually get with me, but, I ain't having it and whatnot. So she's going ahead and actually throwing this little shade or whatever. But she's sitting up there thinking like, Sean, you want to go ahead and get some of that Shanae fever. Of course, the Shanae fever is a take on Jungle Fever, which is, of course, for those of you that don't know, first of all, it's a song by Stevie Wonder, and it was a movie by Spike Lee that Jungle Fever is an interracial relationship or what have you. And of course, Shanae making fun of Sean and whatnot. Sean like, no, don't want none of that. I'm good. whatever. But of course, Shanae plays up. She don't hear him rejecting her. She just hears that, no, this is what you wanted and you can't have it. And she goes ahead and actually gets out of there.
But you know what you got? You got Shanae fever. Now. You got Shanae fever. You got Shanae fever.
And Sean's like, all right, cool, whatever. And so the next scene that we have after the hallway scene is, the two couples going in car traveling. Now in the car, we go and actually know that it's not just a limo, because we think of that, okay, Stan rented a limo. A little classy, a little bit different, maybe, stay in this upscale, right? You got at least a little bit of money and all this kind of stuff. No, it's because Stan has a funeral business, and it's a hearse. They're riding in the back of a hearse. Great. So the two couples are back there kicking it. You hear the song on the radio, which sounds like some type of generic blues from the 70s or what have you. It's probably something that Stan and Myra listen to all the time. And that's where you go ahead and actually get the song person of that I mentioned earlier in the credits of Tracy Coley, who sings this as well, like sung like a ballad like way back when, sang a jingle way back when. So he's singing this generic blues song or what have you. It's crazy. And so as they're driving, and the two couples are, talking to each other and all that kind of stuff. And Sean doubling as like he's an engineer all day in the radio station. He's probably the only engineer that Stan hires. And he's works a long shift there. And then now he's got him paying him as a cheap chauffeur at night. Sean damn near falling asleep or whatever. He's like, okay, I'm gonna wait on there. I almost hit a squirrel, but we good. So y'all taking y'all life in your hands being around Stan, whatever. But that's what they want to go and actually do. The fact that this Gina can't really take any more about it, because the whole night kind of blows up. Gina's trying to make small talk with Myra, and then there's a little bit of back and forth between Myra and Gina, and then Stan and Gina, and all this kind of stuff. It's obvious that there's no way that these two couples could go and actually hang out together, because it's not compatible, and there's no way that you can hang out with them, right? So they go back and forth. There's a little bit of disagreement, argument, what have you, and Gina's like, man, you got to apologize to Tommy, Cole, and Pam Martin, because we can't be hanging out with these folks on here. And they're like, okay, well, we could just hang out for the night or whatever. And then Stan and Myra want to get too freaky, too nasty, whatever. And Martin says, oh, hell no. And Martin jumps out of the hearse. And Gina's like, don't leave me. I got to get up out of here too, right?
Come on. Ooh, Stan, could you crack my toes? You know how it makes me feel. I think I'll start with that little kinky toe. Oh, yeah. Hell no. Hell no. I'm out of here.
And they jump out, and it's done deal, right? It's like, I can't go ahead and actually do it and whatnot. So you got that, and this is where we go ahead and actually flash forward to the next scene. The next scene is Martin the next day on his show, on live. It's at the end of his show, and he decides that he's going to confess on the air. And before he makes the confession, he says, look, this is because, his secret, hurt a lot of people. And he said it by name, this is for you, Tommy, Cole, Pam, And the secret that he reveals is absolutely one that I don't think any of us would have ever guessed that if they wouldn't have, like that wouldn't have been, we would have thought that it would always been in Shanae's head, but definitely wasn't a real thing. Here we go.
One night, 2 years ago, before I met my girlfriend, I tried to sleep with my neighbor, Shanae. I went over to a place, but she wouldn't even answer the door. All right, okay, I got it out. I hope y'all are happy.
So with that being the confession, that he attempted to sleep with Shanae is the ultimate. We're done. at that point. Like he says it at the end of it. If that don't satisfy y'all as the confession, then the hell with you. And I'd have been the same way too. Like, look, that I admitted the thing on there. It's done. It's over. It's whatever. So there you go. So before we go ahead and actually get into the final scene of this particular episode, let's take a look at the culture, music, and movie news of what was going on during that time before we get into the final examination and kind of wrap up this particular episode. And now for your cultural news. Michael Jackson's Dangerous Tour has media headlines covering the massive fallout and global success of his Dangerous World Tour. It just wrapped its first massive European leg, cementing his legendary pop status. And since that tour is wrapping up, the top 5 Billboard songs during this period. Number 5, If I Ever Fall in Love by Shy. Number 4, Real Love by Mary J. Blige. Number 3, I'd Die Without You, PM Dawn. Number 2, How Do You Talk to an Angel, The Heights. And number 1, I Will Always Love You, Whitney Houston. And now, let's get some of your movie news. And now, your top 5 movies during this period in 1992. Number 5, Malcolm X. Number 4, The Distinguished Gentleman. Number 3, Aladdin. Number 2, The Bodyguard. And number 1, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. And there you have your cultural news for this time during 1992. Now back to Martin. Last episode is in Martin's apartment after the confession, presumably later on that night. And they're all together now. All has been forgiven. It's not like they got together and say anything, but they just know, like, yep, you admitted it. I would not have admitted. I would have taken that to the grave. What have you? That was a big one. Good job. You've paid your penance, right? And even Gina's like, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even. Nope, don't even want to think about it, right? And so it's just funny to think about that. And of course, Martin admits in this particular deal that he values his friends, and they have that friendship hug circle or whatever. And this is another scene where you can see that this group of friends really means a lot to each other, that they're going to get over a lot of things. And having friends like this is something that really means something. So we come to the end, and all of a sudden, with the friends after they've hugged and kind of mensurated, who busts in but Shanae in the most ridiculous negligee. I don't know if you call it negligee. It's something, right? And she busts in and says she had no idea that Martin felt that way. You come on over here and I'll get you right. And now some people I read on the internet, people say like this is the first time that Martin and Sinead are in the same screen together. They're not on the same screen together. So just so we have that together, there's cuts, and you can go and actually see that they're not there at the same time or whatever. They didn't try and go and actually do like a double person here and there, like Martin when he was when him and his mom were like split screen and stuff in the very first episode or whatever. But it is the first, I think probably the only time where Martin and Shanae were in the room at the same time and could have interacted, even though they technically didn't. She said something to him. He never reacted. He was just like covering up his eyes like, oh no, not you. But the fact that they went and actually did that was absolutely hilarious. And that's where we go and actually end the episode. There's a post-credit scene that happens at the end where they're jamming in the car. They're back of the two couples are jamming to the little blues song that's jumping off in the back and whatnot. And they just go and actually get there like, oh, snap. Oh, yeah. Get it now. And that was actually kind of cute. So that's where this episode ends. So what did I think? Summarize it all up. This was the fact that this episode came after. So it came after Radio Days with Kim Fields. And if you wanted to know, what I truly thought in depth in that one, take a look at the video that I had made on that with Radio Days. But that was not great, even though the ratings on this one was actually strong and actually had a strong tie-in or what have you. And that could have been just because people had waited like 2 weeks to see this particular episode. So this had strong ratings, whatever. But to me, the previous episode was not strong enough to lead into this. That being said, this particular episode killed it. This is one of the funniest episodes in the first season. And as I continue on, I'm going to go and actually see, how all the seasons, all the episodes stack up. But this right now is like really up there. It's definitely in the top 2 or 3 because not only did you have Martin going and actually revealing that he kind of had a little bit of thing for Pam in there. He goes ahead and actually shows that he's got this braggadocious thing in there, and he goes and actually lets the caller bait him. There's still a thing with Sean and Stan, which we get a little bit more Sean and Stan in here, which is never a bad thing in an episode. You have an episode with Pam, which has also been proven to go and actually be some of the better episodes to go and actually have, and that's actually a reoccurring thing on there. So the chemistry, the casting was good. The jokes within the friends being together was very similar to the episode of Boys Are Us, where that group being together and just kind of like riffing off of each other and having these lines off each other absolutely was hilarious here, because the secrets that they reveal about each other had me cracking up, dying. It was absolutely hysterical, right? And then the fact of Gina and Martin go and actually hang out with Stan and Myra, they had no business hanging out with them. And the ratchetness, old ratchetness that they were inside of its own comedy. The couple of appearances by Shanae of being a central character in both that hallway scene and being the secret that Martin reveals, and everybody's reaction to everything in the acting. This is a top-notch episode from season 1. I don't know how to stack up with the rest of all of Martin together, because he's had so many classic ones, right? But this is one that I don't think it stood out in my mind as like one of the, and it probably won't be a classic one, but this is a top tier Martin episode. This is one that if you showed this to people as an introduction to Martin, you could actually get some people cracking up, because the flying of the different secrets and all that kind of stuff, and Stan and Myra and all that kind of stuff, very good episode, hilarious. And it shows again that friendship that this particular group has, and we love them for it, right? But that's what we got. But that's it. I can't tell you. So anyways, what did you think? Do me a favor, comment down below. Like, share, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. You know how it is. I'm not going to beg you, but I would always like to go and continue to go and actually do this and bring you more and more of these, because these are absolutely hilarious. But that's it. Done. You know what that means? I can't help you, because it is what it is, player. Sorry.
I've been waiting to say this all year, and I'm gonna say it. And this is a good time. Get the stepping. Now, don't you feel tough?
Yeah.
Don't you feel strong?
Yeah.
Don't you feel like going home?
Sure.
Then get the hell out of my apartment and take.
Back up a taste? Just a taste. Just give me some room. Hey. Okay, the door's gonna slam about now.